In the agora, I walked among my fellow citizens, the merchants, the philosophers, the curious and the complacent. I asked questions not to tear down, but to build understanding. Yet many found my inquiries unwelcome, for they exposed the cracks in their certainty. And so I was brought to this courtroom to face my accusers. The men gathered here do not seek justice, they seek comfort. For what is easier than silencing the voice that questions? Yet I stood unafraid, for I knew my purpose. Men of Athens, I stand before you not to charm or flatter, but to speak the truth. My accusers claim I corrupt the youth and reject the gods. But where is their proof? It is not I who corrupt, but those who teach others not to question. My life has been devoted to one thing, questioning what we believe to be true. If this is a crime, then I am guilty. But how else can we find virtue, if not through examination? To silence this questioning is to harm Athens, not to save it. The jury deliberated, and the outcome was clear. They condemned not a man, but the act of questioning itself. I was found guilty, not by the gods, but by men who feared the truth more than they feared injustice. For my crime, I suggested a punishment fitting my service, a feast in my honor. Was it arrogance, perhaps? But it was also truth. For what greater crime is there than to silence one who seeks the good of the city? They offered me exile, a life spent in silence or imprisonment, a life without freedom. But to accept either would be to betray the principles I lived by. Better to die than to live untrue to myself. In the end, I offered a fine, a small price for speaking the truth. My disciples, loyal as ever, were willing to pay it. But the court did not want a compromise, it wanted silence. They sentenced me to death, believing they had rid themselves of the gadfly. Yet I felt no fear. For what harm is death to a man who has lived according to his principles? Death is unknown, and what is unknown is not to be feared. It is either nothingness, a peaceful void, or the passage to a greater existence. In either case, it is not a punishment, but a release. But if death is a journey, a migration of the soul, then I go to join the company of the wise and virtuous who came before me. Is that not a blessing beyond measure? I accepted their verdict not with despair, but with peace. For only the gods know what lies beyond, and I have lived according to their will. My voice may be silenced, but the pursuit of wisdom will endure. My death, like the gadfly's, is not the end. For truth cannot be killed, it will rise again.